Textile is the key, the membrane of information to tell about the stories and the violence, as we heard in Teresa's lecture. Textile is also the key for dialogue across borders, nations, among artists and people around the world. We will now hear first Kiyoshi Yamamoto talking about the Stitch project, and the next one is Dorothee Albrecht with worldwide weaving.
Thank you, Hilda. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me again. I wasn't here last year, exactly November, in agenda that the printmaking department was organizing. So I feel that has been now like a tradition. So I see you next year. My name is Kiyoshi Yamamoto. I'm half Brazilian, half Japanese, and I'm here today to talk about the Stitch project. I have to say that I got very touched by Teresa's presentation. I grew up in Brazil with my Japanese parents, and when she was presented that, I felt that I get a little bit for granted how my life turns around, and could be me that ended up in there. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to. I think this influence, of course, in my presentation for the Stitch project. So I want to apologize for that. But before we start, I explain you guys what is the Stitch project. I want to tell you guys a little history about this little place called Rantis. Rantis is a Palestinian town in the West Bank, 33 kilometers northwest of Ramallah. And it had a population of 2,900 people in the mid-year of 2016. This little village, in that little red dot over there, is only 10 kilometers from Tel Aviv and surrounded by settlements that serve in the suburbs for Tel Aviv. In there, you sometimes can feel the smell of the sea, even that the inhabitants of this small town are not allowed to go in there. The coast climate provides a very good agriculture place. So they have a large cultivation of olive oil. They had. In 2013, when I finished my MA, and the Stitch project was going to the first trip to Palestine, we went to Ramallah, and from there we met Dr. Adel Yalha. He was an archaeologist working on a project called Peace, Palestine Culture Exchange Agents, and he took us to this little village of Rantis. It was a very long drive, even that was very close from the city of Ramallah. But because this little village is like close of all those settlements, we had to drive the whole way around. It spent a quite amount of time. In there, we went to meet this women's embroidery collective. And the Women's Craft Collective from Rantis was founded in 1997 with the money from the Norske Tekstilkunstnere. This is also important. And now they have 48 members doing different kinds of crafts, but the mostly is embroidery. Textile tradition has been a strong presence in Palestinian culture, and incredibly time-consuming embroidery has been admired for all over the country. The woman of this collective in 2010 won an international prize in Milano about the embroidery, but did this prize make them more visible? Have anyone of you guys heard about Rantis? I don't think so. Yes. The village suffer with unemployment, with the Israeli famous sabotaging of the olive plantation. And there is a stronger Israel pressure to depopulate the village. And this pressure might get even stronger since there has a recent discovery of oil and gas under this village of Rantis. What is more impressive with this sabotage from the way it's placed is that the majority of the adults male from these little 2,900 people in there, the majority of those adults male has been taken to prison with no explanation. And in this way, Israel make the population weak and impossible to grow, making more reasons to stop the cultivation and depopulate this city called Ranti. And another strategy is to make a large wall, as everyone has been trying to do that, and break the city in two parts, taking them all the facilities like hospitals and high schools, and take the chance of the youth to take education, go to high school, and to have a voice. Rantis has only 2 kindergartens and 1 children's school. This means no one in there can be higher educated than that. The women's collective represents a strong force of resistance and serve as important cornerstone in the local community, both financial and political. This is the image that we send to promote the Agenda 24. It's a very important image for the stage project. It's actually our meeting in Rantis. This is Rantis. Those are the women that have been working there, doing the embroidery and trying to cultivate and make this village still exist. That is the fantastic lady. She's the leader of this company. And I just want to show, of this not cooperative, I just want to show the detail of the embroidery of her dress. This is a quite highly, extreme time-consuming work that is sold for almost no price, but it still wins prizes in Milano. We met them. It was a joy. It was a very important meeting for myself as a person, but it's also, I think, that make the project stronger and actually really give the value of what we are looking for with the Stitch project. That's the end result of the embroidery those women have done in our tablecloth from the Stitch project. What happened is that we talked, we ate the food, and we did some shopping, and then suddenly it was like, okay, we have to make a piece of embroidery, and suddenly we tried to ask, but how, what motive, what you're gonna do? And immediately, in very few minutes, actually this went too fast, they just made a wall, and in the wall they make a ladder, and there's a little kid with the bag going to the other side because they want to take education and want to survive in that called Palestine. But now we go back to the Stitch project. What is the Stitch project? The Stitch project is started at the Rido Rido Festival. That is a Sami festival in Kåfjord, in a city called Mandal. Actually, in 2011, in July 2011, Hilda Hawan, together with other participants, has done a performance in the Rido Rido Festival, talking about equality between the indigenous people. Exactly in that time, in July, I met my friend Maria Scher when she was coming back from this performance. And from there, it was in the tragedy of Utøya happened. And we met in the cafe, we talked, and we kind of felt that was missing communication, and we just want to speak and reflect about it. At the same time, we had before been talking about this Women of Hebron, that is a collective of embroidery that do sell products to survive in this very difficult place to live called Hebron. And it was just, okay, but let's do something. Let's just make a poster and try to take as much of yarns as possible so we can send to them. So those two events has been formed in the Stitch project. The Stitch project started with the idea of no borders. We have been in total of 19 cities, and we have been showing this work in 6 countries. But I have to read, since we have many people included in this project, so I really have to read what the project's about. So please, if I have said wrong, Margrethe or Hilda Hawan, correct me. The Stitch project is a 4-year project. It starts at the Rido Rido Festival in 2012 and was supposed to end in 2016 at the 25th jubileum of the festival. The Stitch project wants to explore the extensive living textile tradition in the Nordic countries and around the world. We know that we learn those skills directly from mothers and grandmothers It is an unbroken chain of skills with textile tradition that we want to strengthen with sharing this knowledge with others. We use the textile practice as a door opener for dialogue in many different settings. The project is intended as a meeting place with dialogue, stories, knowledge, and inspiration. We want to meet people and learn about the local area, local traditions, political, personal social issues, and cultural issues that occupy the people from the place, both in a positive or in a negative, challenge way. We have already experienced how working together opens us for dialogue and discussion. Men and women, children, youngsters, people of all the ages can relate to a stitcher. The Stitch project has three main projects. We have this large 10-meter tablecloth that we go around. We always like the places that's not the white cube but the gallery. We have very like festivals and other arenas, and we invite people to sit around this table and just make stitches and talk if they like to. We have the spinning project where we have this metaphorical idea to spin a thread from Kofjord, Mandal, to Hebron. Of course, as I say, it's a metaphorical way. It's going to take generations that happen. But with this idea, we have a meaning to keep spinning and keep this line. Another thing that's really important for this project has been this book, Blissint, of Stefan Hessel, Time for Outrage. In October 2010, Helsing's Time of True Outrage was published in edition of 6,000 copies, but now has been sold more in 3.5 million of copies, and has been translated to Swedish, Danish, in other ways. But what's impressive with Helsing's books is that he argued that the French people need again to become outraged. It was a time of passive in 2010, as well those who participate in the resistance during the World War II. Hessel's reasons for personal outrage included the growing gap between the very rich and the very poor. Maybe we can close it down. France's treatment of illegal immigrants to need to reestablish a free press, and the need to protect the environment, importance of protection of social welfare and system. I got this book from my professor here, the Hawan, in the Post. I remember that this was in 2010, and when I read, you can really read this in 20 minutes. But make a very large impact for me, and I was really feeling very passive. I was like, my God, I'm so passive. I have to do something, but I don't have to change. I have to change my own world, and this is what was important to me to combine in the Stitch project. But after we have get the idea, we have these 2 points that started the project. We need participants. As a collaborative work, we start to invite people to collaborate and be part of the group. So we are very lucky to get Omaya Salman. That she's a Palestinian artist, a young artist that has been graduated from the Palestinian Art Academy in Ramallah. She lives now in France, and she has a very clear attitude how it is to be young and in Palestine. This work that she shows in here is because she moved to Brazil with her family, and she got a Brazilian passport, and he just wants to show that this is a mask, because in the reality she is a Palestinian. We have Margrethe Brekke, that is my forever partner in crime. We have been together students, and Margrethe has been always challenging in this idea of environment and sustainability, but she has been deeply interested in this idea of fibers and most of the wool fabrics. We have Hilda Hauan that started the project together with us, and we don't have to describe here, we know what to do, so we go for that. We have Maria Scheer, that's also another partner in crime. I love her, missing her today, but she's actually in Bergen. She lives here in Oslo. She have done her master, she studied the BA in Bergen, and have done her master in the public space at MA at public space at KIO. We have also Hildur Bernadotte, that she is an Icelandic artist. She worked with this idea of planting and identity, but it's also the plant dying identity and localization. That was some pictures from 2011 when she was doing that. Now she just finished her whole PhD on this topic. And we had also another member, Britta Marakat-Laba, that has become an icon. So you can also Google that. So after we did this, after we collected people and we started to collect materials, I have to say, like, we have been very lucky to get invited by Rido Rido to start the project in there. Rido Rido is this fantastic Samic indigenous festival that happened in July. I really recommend everyone to go in there, and you can even work as a volunteer. You pay nothing. It is extremely fantastic festival. It is a one-of-kind. You get the most high-quality music you can imagine, and you can engage yourself in some political discussion that you'll never believe I will do that in a festival in mid of July. So I was like, whoa, they are really doing. And the importance of this festival as well, because it is it's true, because Rido Rido was found in the way that the youth from that area was missing kind of some engage, and it was losing the roots of Sami, so they have to put it. So this festival for me has a lot to do with this book. So it was an attitude. You just do it and you move. Here's the gang. We're moving there. Everyone look young and fresh. And you see that, you can see the tablecloth in the table here. You can see how empty it was. It was really clear. And you can see we have like 2 stitches in there, maybe someone else. Britta is still in there, analyzing how we're going to start that. And she made the first embroidery that's in the head of this tablecloth. And Margrethe was spinning, of course. So we have that. Around this table, we always try to include a dialogue. So what we did is that we invited people to talk of the experience and tell things. But exactly in this picture, you can see Lena Hansen, that has been one of the starters of this Rido Rido festival. And she was in there telling this, how the festival got on and how they keep strong and why it's important. And for me, as an outsider, I do think that it was not a presentation, that her talk was important for everyone that was around that table. But of course, it was a festival, and when I found this picture, another day I was like, my God, how could us? How could us? Imagine, this is a festival, these kids dancing, have music, and we are in there really like, well, we're going to just do some spinning. And I was like, that is so pretentious. But somehow, it's impressive that no one have done that before. I was like, what? I think that this was like a basic thing to do. You come in a festival, we spin a thread. And then we engage people. Omaya, for instance, has never done spinning, and she learned like 1, 2, 3. We had Hildo Bernadotte that actually started this idea of collecting colors and plants and mapping the place, and it was very simple. It was a fireball, and we have the most simple pans. We have the wool that we have been spawning this time, and the plants, and you have the result. So it was a kind of 1, 2, 3, let's do it. And it was fun, it was interesting, but we needed more challenge. So what we did, we went to Palestine. Because that was the main of the whole project. And in there, we got very lucky to be invited by this foundation that's actually in Jerusalem. It is called Alma Malabi, Contemporary Art, and I love the logo. So we just opened the cloth in there, and what happens is that people get engaged, and we start new conversations, we met new people. For instance, this guy, this handsome man over there full of painting, he was a carpenter from America that was a volunteer in Palestine, and he has never done embroidery, but he's sitting there, and he did his stitches, and it was quite clever. That's Hilda, of course, tried to teach them around. Margrethe also showed some spinning. We tried to make people to spin, and they did it. And those 2 moments in there, for me, was very important, this trip to Jerusalem in Palestine, was this man. He was really sitting in the end of... He was really looking conservative, and he did not speak with no one. And he was sitting at the end of the tablecloth. And I did not know what he was doing. But when he left, it was this beautiful map of Palestine. He managed to embroider a very lovely map. And I was so impressed how he did that. And I did not notice. So he was so quiet, but was so precise, and make a big challenge in contribution to our project. And another one was this couple that just got flirting. And I think like the table can also bring love. We went to the academy in Ramallah. That is a fantastic place. I recommend going there. And another thing that was really important for me is that when I finished my MA at Bergen, I was like pissed off with everything. I was like, no, blah, blah, blah. And it was important to go in there and see, like, listen, put yourself together and do this job because art is important for everyone. And don't be so occupied with how is your studio, what you're gonna do. Just keep doing. So it was this meeting with this art academy, with those students in there, make a very large impact in what I do today. We went to the Bedouins camps and we met the kids. And what is fantastic is that we could not speak, I could not speak Arabic. And in this Bedouin camp, we travel and we eat some food with them. And they kind of divide us, like men staying there, women staying there. And I had no contact with none of those women. But suddenly when she got this spinning instrument, she just, and then the communication was immediately, we knew what she was talking about it. So went beyond the language. The project we have been very lucky that the project went to Gaza. We managed, Maria Shea managed to went in there, I don't know how, but we have a hope that soon we can also do that next year because we are going to Palestine again. It was a project we have with Windows from Gaza. That's an art collective that exists and everyone can work with them, and also with the Al-Azhar University. Most of the adult population in Gaza, they actually has a high graduation. And that was amazing embroidering. And what happened? Maria met someone who could spin. But the tragedy, I have to finish. This is a very large project. This project has been on 6 years, and I only have 20 minutes, so I have to stop someone else. But what happened is that when Maria was in Palestine, was in Gaza, and when she come back, 2 days after, started bombings. Israel started bombing Gaza again. And this tablecloth just come out from the place that we had a hope that it would be peaceful. And both me and Maria and all the others in the stage project, we just want to do something. We did not have place, we don't have gallery, and that just happened. So we just sit in the train station in Bergen. That was the cough come in after Gaza, and we did embroidery and invite people to stay in there. So what is very important is about communication and doing. And what is I appreciate from the textile is that everyone is related to, and actually people are not scared of the material. Since we have a so close relation with textiles, everyone feel that they can do something, even if it's not pretty. If this was a large oil painting, I dare, if someone, you're going there and give a brush on it. So I think I should finish in here. I always like to finish 2 minutes before, because I hate like make people late. So thank you so much.